So let's talk about coaching profits. The first thing that we want to kind of think about is that your coaching program needs to be at the end of your funnel. It needs to be if you're launching a product, the last thing in the funnel, the last thing that the folks see if you're going to have multiple offers at the point at which they're buying something from you, information in particular, should be your coaching program if you're going to have one, right? I would not send people that I do not know to a coaching program. And the thing is that what you need with a coaching program is going to be trust. And even if you can get someone to buy in, let's say without even knowing you, what you really want is you want people, first of all, that know you well enough to know you can help them. Second of all, you want people that know what you deliver, right? So, and people that don't know you before they get started with you are probably not going to be your best client or customer, even if they're paying, right? So again, unless you really are good, I'd say, in establishing trust without having met somebody, without them having met you, most of the time you want to have that coaching program at the end of a funnel, either horizontal or vertical. And I'll talk about that here in a minute. Some people are going to find you instantly credible when they first read something you write, when they first watch a video of yours, but most people are probably not going to be that way. And now that we're maturing as a market, information marketing, I'd say that most of the time people have so many choices that they don't have to buy something just because they just met you. They've got choices before they get to that point, and it's really hard to establish instant credibility. But again, if you have established some credibility over time, you can establish that trust through a couple of means. Number one, you can establish trust through repeated training. And I've been saying for a long time that I think you should be doing some kind of training on a regular basis. You should be doing, whether it's a podcast, whether it is a video training, whether it is a live training, whether it's recorded training, something on a regular basis, something that happens, I'd say, minimum weekly. And so if you can swing it, it might be that your product schedule or your work schedule or your client schedule doesn't necessarily allow for that. But if you can, certainly try to start, I'd say, doing some training on a regular basis so that people expect it. So it becomes a ritual. So it becomes almost like religion or like church. It needs to be something that's going to be on a weekly basis, and really it should be unusual if it's not, right? And the reason that this is going to help you build up trust is because you got to show up every week, and you got to show up with something. And you can't just show up with, I'd say, something that you kind of threw together. You've got to either know something, or you've got to show up having learned something or be in the process of learning something. And this really forces you to do that inside of your niche. And so you really do build up trust over time. You can build up with trust through repeated product creation. I know people that don't do training at all, right? And all they do is they launch on a regular basis, once a month, twice a month, whatever the case is. You can build up repeated, you can build up a trust level that is tangible. And what I mean by tangible is that I'm not talking about a kind of a trust that is, I'd say, subjective. So in other words, not something that somebody feels, something that's tangible because they've demonstrated this by purchasing something from you and purchasing something from you a second or third time, right? That's repeated product creation. You're giving people an opportunity for you to establish trust with them. And if you can establish that level of trust with someone where they've purchased something from you repeatedly, then this is going to be the right person for your coaching. It's going to be absolutely be the right person for your coaching. If you have a client that comes over and over again and they get services from you, and you're kind of training your client in some ways, they're ideal for your coaching, whatever it is that you're delivering. And when I talk about repeated product creation, I'm talking about products that you put on a platform. Maybe you're selling it from your WordPress site, or you're delivering some downloads. You're doing it on a site like, I'd say, Thinkific or Teachable or something like that. Platform products, right? Platforms that you're self-hosting. Or you can do them on sites like Udemy or Skillshare. And again, Udemy and Skillshare are their own platform. right? So in other words, you can place those products on there. The customers belong to them, but you do establish credibility with individuals, right? And you can do that by having repeated products on their platform, or you can do an information product on JVZoo, Warrior Plus, or ClickBank. And certainly, you can establish trust by having repeated contact with people, right? And you can do that through email, right? You can have a daily email. You can have social media groups where you're really interacting with people and you're really showing them that you are credible on a subject, or you know your stuff in an area. Again, now all of these are ways that you're really trying to establish trust, so that when you present the coaching offer, it won't be with somebody that they don't know. It won't be with somebody that they just met. It won't be a decision they've got to make blind. So in other words, they might have seen the offer for the first time, but they haven't met you for the first time. And you will have already established that level of trust. So again, these are things that you can be doing to set up, right, the coaching offer that you were eventually going to make. And I would almost say that you and I should be thinking strategically about the coaching offer we're going to be making when we release these products, we release the training. Because again, all we're really doing is establishing the level of trust with someone so that they know, number one, you know what you say to people when you show up for a training week after week? You say that, hey, I'm here. I come here every week. You see me, right? You're establishing trust. And it's almost a little bit, I would even say it goes to being the kind of trust that kind of runs in the background to people's mind. So in other words, it's not spoken. You don't have to say I'm trustworthy. In other words, you establish that trust with people by your demonstration, by being there every single week at the same time. Coaching should be specific. So you should be working on something specific that you're going to help people with. What do I mean by that? Well, if you're going to coach, it should be something that you know how to get somebody a specific result doing. So again, it doesn't have to be huge. It doesn't even have to be, I'd say, earth-shattering. It just needs to be a result that you can get over and over again confidently, consistently. It's something you know how to do. Now, again, we can position the offer in different ways, but when you start talking about you're going to take somebody by the hand and you're going to lead them to get a specific result, you do have to know the result. And so this has to be something that you kind of know really well, something that you have done, something that you know you can do yourself, something that you can lead somebody else to do. And this is how you really establish that level that, hey, I can teach somebody how to do exactly what I would do if I was in a given situation. And I know what I would do in a given situation because I've already done it. Right now, you should once you complete the process with your coaching student, there should be some kind of measurable completion. They ought to know that they finished. Right? They ought to know that they accomplished what the coaching program was set out to do. Now, again, you might have an ongoing coaching program, but you should be able to point to something specific that you're doing. General coaching is not easy to do because it's nothing to keep the person engaged. Now, again, one of the things that you can add is you can add a live training element, right? And what you're doing is you're not necessarily trying to keep people entertained. What you're trying to do is you're trying to get a pulse on what they're doing so that you make sure you're producing things that are really going to help them, right? The only way I know to do that is to meet with somebody on a pretty regular basis, right? There are probably some other ways you can kind of guess at it, right? But if you see somebody on a weekly basis, you see somebody on a bi-weekly basis, you see somebody at minimum on a monthly basis, you're going to be able to not only keep them engaged, but you're going to have the kind of stuff that will keep them engaged because you know them, right? You know the kind of questions they have. So again, coaching has to be specific. Now, if you can't get a specific result for them, you can train individuals in a certain area, right? You can train them. What are the foundational principles in your area? What are the foundational principles that people have to know, that they have to do? You can train in those areas, right? If you know the foundational things, in other words, you know the things that everybody has to do right, you can train on those areas if you have a coaching program. Most people today do not get fundamentals. I can tell you that for a fact in most things. Because, again, one of the benefits of being able to go get information from YouTube is that, hey, it's free and everybody can put stuff on there and you can get all the benefits. You can do a search. You can find anything on YouTube. Now, the downside to that is that I'd say there are probably not going to be a lot of people that know how to teach fundamentals to the point where the average person can just kind of reach and get them. right? It is not common, even where the information is free. And you can always give that fundamental information if you know it, if it's in an area that you know well. Even that, right? Even that training that you're doing should be as narrow as you can possibly make it. It should be in a niche. It should be in a genre, if you can get it there. The source from your coaching is going to be your area of expertise, right? You should be growing in that area all the time. Now, I'm not going to fuss at you about this, but it is just true. In order to be coaching in an area, I mean, we can't just be maintaining. We have to be we have to be kind of overflowing in this area, right? You've got to be the person that's doing all the reading. Even if you're not, and even if you're not going to be the person telling everybody you're doing all the reading, right? You don't have to get on social media and say, hey, just reading this brand new book. It's awesome. I mean, that's cool. I mean, if you want to do that. But again, more importantly is that you really are reading. You really are going to, I'd say, the trainings on a regular basis. You really are expanding in your area of expertise. You're growing in an area, right? So by growing in this area, you are going to be able to take something and spill over into other people, right? So coaching has to be specific.